Qur'an, and science. The Qur'an is the holy book and core of Islam, revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, beginning in the year 610 AD. The revelations occurred for 23 years and lasted until just before Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, passed away in 633 AD. The book, first revealed over 1400 years ago, is as relevant today as it was then. Because it is the final revelation, issued to all of mankind, the scale of knowledge ranges from seemingly incomprehensible subjects, such as the vastness and growth of the universe, to knowledge of the earth and its functions, down to the single atom. The facts in the Qur'an correlate with the modern discoveries in science of the 21st century. The Qur'an is a book of signs, not science. A sign is a token, an indication, a marker, a gesture, a notice, an advertisement, and most importantly, a warning for the public. There are over 6,000 signs or verses or ayat in the Qur'an. More than 1,000 deal with science. Science is the system in which mankind gains knowledge through observation and experimentation. In short, science is the search for fact, or truth, or law. These things are not created by man, but are studied by man, such as the law of gravity. Albert Einstein, arguably the most famous physicist of the modern era, is quoted as saying, "Science without religion is lame. Religion without science is blind." Dr. Maurice Bucaille, French physician and author of the book The Bible, the Qur'an, and Science, was the lead doctor examining the body of the pharaoh Ramses II. The pharaoh, whose body has been preserved for more than 3,000 years, was discovered to have died from drowning. The perfect preservation of the corpse puzzled the doctor until he heard of the Qur'an and the story of Pharaoh, the same pharaoh who enslaved the children of Israel.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وجاوزنا ببني إسرائيل البحر فأتبعهم فرعون وجنوده بغيا وعدوا حتى إذا أدركه الغرق قال آمنت أنه لا إله إلا الذي آمنت به بنو إسرائيل وأنا من المسلمين الآن وقد عصيت قبل وكنت من المفسدين فاليوم ننجيك ببدنك لتكون لمن خلفك آية وإن كثيرا من الناس عن آياتنا لغافلون.
This day shall we save thee in the body, that thou mayest be a sign to those who come after thee. But verily, many among mankind are heedless of our signs. Upon learning this verse, Dr. Bucaille entered Islam and spent the next several years of his life trying to find scientific errors in the Qur'an. He could not find a single one.
In view of the state of knowledge in Prophet Muhammad's day, it is inconceivable that many of the statements in the Quran which are connected with science could have been the work of a man. It is therefore perfectly legitimate not only to regard the Quran as the expression of a revelation, but also to award it a very special place on account of the guarantee of authenticity it provides and the presence in it of reflections which, when studied today, appear as a challenge to human explanation. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for your kind attention. Assalamu alaikum.
Professor Keith L. Moore, Associate Dean for Basic Medical Sciences and Chair of Anatomy from 1976 to 1984 at the University of Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He is a founding member of the American Association of Clinical Anatomists, or the AACA, and was president of the AACA between 1989 and 1991. He is also a recipient of multiple awards for anatomical sciences and author of the book, The Developing Human, which has been translated into 8 languages and is the textbook around the world for first-year medical students. In his article, A Scientist's Interpretation of References to Embryology in the Qur'an, Moore asserts that statements referring to human reproduction and development are scattered throughout the Qur'an. The interpretation of the verses in the Qur'an referring to human development would not have been possible in the 7th century AD, or even 100 years ago.
Intensive studies of the Qur'an and Hadith in the last 4 years have revealed a system for classifying human embryos that is amazing since it was recorded in the 7th century AD. Although Aristotle, the founder of the science of embryology, realized that chick embryos developed in stages from his studies of hen's eggs in the 4th century BC, he did not give any details about these stages. As far as it is known from the history of embryology, little was known about the staging and classification of human embryos until the 20th century. For this reason, the descriptions of the human embryo in the Quran cannot be based on scientific knowledge in the 7th century. The only reasonable conclusion is that these descriptions were revealed to Muhammad from God. He could not have known such details because he was an illiterate man with absolutely no scientific training. The stages of embryonic and fetal development mentioned in the Quran should be used when teaching Muslim students because they are in accordance with our modern understanding of the development before birth. It will also enable Muslim doctors and nurses to explain human development to their patients using Quranic references. Muhammad could not have known these facts about human development in the 7th century because most of them were not discovered until the 20th century. Muslims and others are justified in concluding that these facts could only have been revealed to Muhammad by the one who knows all about us, not only about how we developed, but how we live and function.
Professor Tejitat Tejisin, formerly head of the Department of Anatomy and Embryology, is now the Dean of Medical Science in Chiang Mai University, Thailand. The professor's area of specialty is the study of pain receptors. Human skin contains pain receptors called nociceptors that send the signals of pain through your nervous system. If you were to remove the skin, thereby removing the pain receptors, you would feel no pain.
You'll be interested to know that in this book, the Holy Book, the Qur'an, there was a reference 1400 years ago which refers to the moment of punishment of the unbelievers by the fire of hell, and it states that when the skin is destroyed, Allah makes another skin for them, so that they perceive the punishment by fire, indicating knowledge about nerve endings in the skin. And the verse is
إن الذين كفروا بآياتنا سوف نصليهم نارا كلما نضجت جلودهم بدلناهم جلودا غيرها ليذوقوا العذاب إن الله كان عزيزا حكيما.
Do you agree that this is a reference to the importance of the nerve endings in the skin in sensation 1400 years ago?
Yes, if the bird is dead and the destroy the receptor, we will know this perception for sensation. I agree this knowledge about sensation has known long before, because it said that if something do something wrong, and then is what punished by burning his skin, and then the Allah put the fresh skin cover him to make him know.
Professor Tejeson was so impressed by the scientific accuracy of this one verse, he began to study the Qur'an.
From my study and what I have learned from this context, I believe that everything that has been recorded in the Qur'an 1400 years ago must be true. That can be proved by the scientific means. Since the Prophet Muhammad could neither read nor write, Muhammad must be a messenger who relayed this truth, which was revealed to him as an enlightenment by the one who is knowledgeable Creator. This Creator must be God or Allah. Therefore, I think this is the time to say, La ilaha illallah. There is no God to worship except Allah. Muhammad, Rasulullah. Muhammad is messenger of Allah.
Other notable scientists include Dr. Yoshihide Kozai, Professor Emeritus at Tokyo University, Hango, Tokyo, Japan. Former Director of the National Astronomical Observatory in Mitaka, Tokyo, Japan.
Actually, I'm very much impressed by finding true astronomical facts in Qur'an. And for us, we modern astronomers have been studying very small fields of the universe. We concentrated our efforts for understanding of very small parts, because by using telescope we can see only a very few parts of the sky without thinking whole the universe. So by reading Quran and by answering to your questions, I think I can find my future way for investigation of the universe.
Dr. Allison R. Palmer, geologist with the United States Geological Survey, Professor of Geology at SUNY Stony Brook, New York, United States, from 1966 to 1980. Awarded the Charles Doolittle Wolcott Medal in recognition of his eminence as a specialist in the studies of the Cambrian life.
I have been asked, could Muhammad personally have known these things? The answer of a cautious scientist is, it is not impossible, but it would require a very sophisticated awareness of natural history. In summary, the Islamic texts can be divided into three categories related to the past, the present, and the future. References to the past are expanding and shrinking of the earth, fixing of the mountains, deriving moisture from the earth's interior, and description of the past climate of the Arabian Peninsula. References to the present are the presence of great faults, a turbulent earth interior, and changing dimensions of the continents. References to the future are predictions about the return of better climatic conditions to the Arabian Peninsula. What is the significance of these statements made 1400 years ago, long before the beginning of the new science of geology? We need research into the history of early Middle Eastern oral traditions to know whether, in fact, such historical events have been reported. If there is no such record, it strengthens the belief that God transmitted through Muhammad bits of his knowledge that we have only discovered for ourselves in recent times.
Professor Alfred Kroner, Professor of Geology and Chairman of the Department of Geology at the Institute of Geosciences, Johann Gutenberg University, Mainz, Germany.
Thinking of many of these questions and thinking where Muhammad came from, he was after all a Bedouin. I think it is almost impossible that he could have known about things like the common origin of the universe, because scientists have only found out within the last few years, with very complicated and advanced technological methods, that this is the case. Somebody who did not know something about nuclear physics 1400 years ago could not, I think, be in a position to find out from his own mind, for instance, that the earth and the heavens had the same origin, or many other of the questions that we have discussed here.
Dr. E. Marshall Johnson, Professor Emeritus of Anatomy and Developmental Biology at Thomas Jefferson University, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, United States. Chairman of the Department of Anatomy. President of the Teratology Society.
The Qur'an describes not only the development of external form, but emphasizes also the internal stages, the stages inside the embryo of its creation and development, emphasizing major events recognized by contemporary science.
As a scientist, I can only deal with things which I can specifically see. I can understand embryology and developmental biology. I can understand the words that are translated to me from the Qur'an. As I gave the example before, if I were to transpose myself into that era, knowing what I do today and describing things, I could not describe the things which were described. I see no reason, I see no evidence for the fact to refute the concept that this individual, Muhammad, had to be developing this information from someplace. So I see nothing here in conflict with the concept that divine intervention was involved.
وَإِن كُنتُمْ فِي رَيْبٍ مِّمَّا نَزَّلْنَا عَلَىٰ عَبْدِنَا فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مثله وادعوا شهداءكم من دون الله إن كنتم صادقين فإن لم تفعلوا ولن تفعلوا فاتقوا النار التي وقودها الناس والحجارة أعدت للكافرين.
The perfection of this book is declared many times throughout the Quran.
لا يأتيه الباطل من بين يديه ولا من خلفه تنزيل من حكيم حميد.
The following presentation will briefly address several scientific branches of modern human knowledge in comparison to the wisdom that was sent down in the Qur'an over 1400 years ago. The topics include astronomy, physics, geography, geology, oceanology, biology, botany, zoology, physiology, embryology, and general science.